And we look at this panel tonight. This board is full. We are live, the K&K Sports Show, championship weekend. We'll get right to it because we got a lot of people here tonight. We'll start with opening statements, and I'm going to start off with Ryan Scoops. Are you with us? Do you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right, I do, Ryan, and I want to owe you and your Philadelphia Eagles and coaching staff an apology. Because I was here last week saying I was worried about them. They were going to get cutesy. They were going to do this. They were going to do that. And what I witnessed on Saturday night, I saw something, Super Bowl 48, my Denver Broncos right here in MetLife Stadium, Clams and Beelan, my coaching staff of John Fox, Adam Gase, Jack Del Rio, absolutely get an ass ripping by the Seattle coaching staff. And I owe you guys an apology because since that Super Bowl, I have not seen a coaching staff rip another coaching staff like Saturday night when those fraud Giants got destroyed on national television. So we'll get into that later. And my second opening statement, and guys, we got to stop on the show. We got to stop in the media. We got to stop in the NFL. I watched 4 games last week, so there were 8 quarterbacks. I saw 6 quarterbacks. Lawrence, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen. I'll give you Bryce Purdy, and I'm going to put Jalen Hurts. Bang. Sunday, I actually saw a $45 million quarterback lose a divisional round game for a defense that was lights out. Congratulations, Coach Quinn and that defense. CeeDee Lamb making catches and just throw a game away. And I saw on Saturday night, what's the statement, Joey Clams? The deer in headlights? I don't know how anyone on this show tonight is going to say, I know last week Carson almost came through the screen when people said this guy's better than Jalen Hurts, and we got to stop it, because if anybody's going to give that guy what I saw Saturday night money, I saw 6 quarterbacks, boom, and 2 quarterbacks, boom. So I don't know how we're going to talk about money later on, but that's my opening statement. Mr. Carson, sure, I like your color you're rocking tonight.
Thanks, Kurt. What's going on, boys? How we doing? Yeah, we had some good games this weekend. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. And, ready to talk some sports, and it should be a hell of a show. Let's get right into it.
Let's go. Mr. Ryan Scoops.
How are you guys doing tonight? Honestly, it was an exciting weekend from my vantage point, going into a weekend where I think as a football fan first, you want to obviously see, the best games possible. And I think Eagles 49ers is going to be the best game we could have gotten out of the NFC. And I think that in the AFC, I think Bengals versus Chiefs is the best game we could have gotten there. I was very disappointed by what I saw out of Buffalo the other day. I think that you can make the argument. I think that if there was a team that got shafted in any sort of way, if you want to put it that way, it may not have been last week. It may have been the Lions the week before. I think the Lions could have actually made some of these games better than they were. But I think that this is going to be an exciting weekend of conference football. I'm looking forward to watching Philly and San Francisco. I'm looking forward to watching 2 very different types of games, where I think in one game we're going to have, the star quarterback going up against the star quarterback in Burrow versus Mahomes. And the other game, I think it's going to be a lot more physical, a lot more run game, a lot more defense. Still think that they have 2 very good quarterbacks, obviously. But I'm looking forward to kind of seeing the contrast in styles that these 2 games I think are going to take. But I think both sides is going to be good football.
Mr. Rosen, how are you? I know you're not holly jolly tonight, you and Mr. Kirkpatrick, but how are you, my friend?
Listen, I'm here. Good evening, everyone. I'm here. First of all, congratulations, Ryan. I congratulated you on a text, but in live, congratulations. Clearly, the better team won. I'm not going to get into the weeds of that game or any other game right now. We'll talk about that. But believe me, I'm here. Bring it on, Kurt. I'm going to give it as much as I take it, okay? So just be prepared.
Paul, I like your shirt, by the way. That's a cool Mets shirt. I think I can tell it's a Mets shirt.
Actually, it's a Giants shirt.
Oh, it is? My bad.
Yeah.
I still like it.
Thank you.
Mr. Beelan from the truck. What's going on?
Listen, knife to the gunfight. So go knife for knife. I'm ready for you whenever you're ready, Kurt.
I was a little worried about you. I didn't hear from you after Sunday. I was literally asked Jen. I was like, we got to head up west. I got to make sure my boy Beelan's okay. And then, you came back. So I heard you yesterday. It was like, a little relief. So
throw the flare gun out and look at the sky. I'm around. I don't hide. Just here. Just remember that.
by the way, if you guys didn't know, and I posted in the chat, I'm going to post it on Facebook today. Beelan, it took me 3 years, but I finally got it and I screenshotted it. He under John Beelan on Facebook in a message, he wrote, Dak ain't worth it. So congratulations, Mr. Beelan. Congratulations. And Mr. Joey Clams, how are you here on a Wednesday night?
Hey, Spider, that cast on your foot is bigger than your head.
You're gonna take that? You're gonna take that from him?
Basketball today. We're rolling, baby. We're rolling.
Let's go, Joey.
Mr. Kirkpatrick, I hope he's telling the truth. He had a work call, so I don't know. He might be MIA. Paul, I give you credit. You showed. I don't know if he's going to show. He might.
Oh, hey, listen. I'm here. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Clams, I'm going to mute you, Clams, because you're still with a little feedback. So I'll unmute you when we ask you the question. But I know you wanted a couple of minutes, real quick. Ryan, you wanted to talk about something serious. I know a little. So if you want to start off with a couple minutes, we'll get into that first before we get rolling, because we'll probably be screaming in a little bit. So if you want to be serious, let's be serious now.
All right, sounds good. So for any of you who didn't know, today is the whole concept of it's called Bell Let's Talk. You've probably seen people in professional sports posting things on social media or talking about it on the one show or another, just kind of addressing the sort of talks about mental health and things of that nature, and the fact that some of these professional athletes have started coming out more and kind of being more public about things that they're dealing with, anxiety, depression, and such. People can think it's not going to happen to them until it does, but there's a lot of and I have a book right here. Actually, I got it over the pandemic. Obviously, not the easiest time for most people. I highly recommend it to anybody. Is Jay Glazer's Unbreakable. I've read it twice. I'm on my third read of it right now. But you never know when you're going to want support or need support from somebody else, or when someone else is going to, come to you for support. And it can happen at any time to anybody. We all have physicians. We all have general practitioners. The mind is no different. The heart is no different. So I just want to kind of express that, I hope that, everyone is doing well, but if you're not, that's okay. And someone's going to be there. There is someone out there who wants to listen, and there is someone out there who wants you to be okay. And I hope that, whether it's Jay Glazer or some of the guys that I look up to, like Lane Johnson, one of the greatest offensive tackles of all time, longtime Eagle, he spoke about his, difficulties last year. And, sometimes for guys who, they love sports and, sometimes they don't really know, where to go with this type of stuff. Sometimes it can be, looking at people like that they respect and that they look up to and have always admired at the top of their game, whether it's Jay Glazer on the media side or Lane Johnson or somebody like that on the playing side. Sometimes just looking up and saying like, hey, this is someone I really respect, and I watch what he does every day or every weekend, and he's phenomenal. This guy's dealing with stuff that I find relatable or that sounds familiar to me, because Jay Glazer does a heck of a job in his book, kind of just talking about things from a standpoint of actually living the day-to-day of it, not being so rah-rah as to like, oh, you got you'll get through this, or it's going to get better, or whatever. That he kind of tries to show you what he's talking about, so that you can actually find it more relatable, rather than just it being the same sort of feel-good posts that people share on Instagram all the time. So that's really all I wanted to say is, you never know who's going through something, but there's a place in this world for everybody. And, I hope that if someone's listening right now who has been struggling recently, please do, try and reach out to somebody, or please do and try and connect to somebody who you trust, because it doesn't always have to. It's not going to always have to be that way. And I encourage you to, hopefully find peace in your life.
All right,
Thank you, Ryan.
Mr. Kirkpatrick, can you hear us?
Yes, you got me?
We got you.
Hey, Kenny.
Sorry I'm late,
Hey, Kenny.
guys, but I'm here. What's up, fellas?
Hey.
But I'm here. Everything's good. Just had to take care of a little phone call, so we're good. Ready to roll. Thanks, Ryan, for that.
Kenny.
Appreciate you talking about that. I got my boy John Beelan with me tonight, so we're good to roll.
But thankfully, Kenny, I was telling the guys, thankfully, during the high school show last night, he commented in, so we know Beelan's okay. He was MIA for a few days, so he's okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, as long as he's good. All right, Mr. Kirkpatrick, where do you want to start tonight? We got
a lot of football to talk about, so might as well. A lot of football to talk about. Last week's games. I know, Kurt, you're on some of these teams. I know we're gonna have to hear you rant for a little bit, but I'm okay with that. No, Paul's okay with that. We'll talk about that. We'll get into the championship games, a little around the league, so we get some other teams involved too, and some other people on the panel with their teams. So why don't we start with the weekend games? And Paul, you got a little parody. Is it on these games or the championship games?
No, it's it's about one team, but you'll see once I start singing it. I think all you guys will appreciate it.
Is it a good time now or later? Good time now or later?
Let's do the review, and then I'll do it after.
All right, Kurt. So why don't we start the first game? We'll do the AFC first, and I'll do the Chiefs Jags. I got just a couple questions. The review, Mahomes got hurt. We know what happened there. The Chiefs drive down the field, Chad Henne, and then we thought Mahomes was going to be out for the game, and then here he comes back. He wanted in the game. He wasn't at 100%, but they still pulled off the victory. So I got two quick questions for you guys on a first one. I'll see it on my screen. I'll go with Paul first, since that's who I see on my screen. And question is, Paul, were you impressed with Patrick Mahomes' performance or Travis Kelce's performance? For those who know, let me get Travis Kelce's stats up. Go ahead, Paul, if you answer, if you need me to get his stats. He had 14 receptions, 2 touchdowns, 98 yards.
Yeah, I mean, Kelce did an amazing job. Obviously, what he normally does every game, more to the point, he was outstanding, no question about it. But the fact that Pat Mahomes had that injury, nobody, I think, when he got injured, expected him to return. I mean, and especially after you saw what happened to Tony Pollard, almost the exact same injury the next day in the Dallas game. He came back and gutted it out. I mean, you have to give him credit. A high ankle sprain, guys are out 6-8 weeks with something like that. And the fact that he played in the same game, granted, he might have been on full adrenaline, but clearly the fact that he came back in and played the rest of the game was shocking to me, because I've had many ankle sprains in my life. But the idea that he came in and performed well was, I think, an amazing performance.
Kurt, want to add to that? Or what's your thoughts on it? Is it Kelce or Mahomes?
It's Mahomes. I mean, I'm going to be a little biased here. And I always say this when I talk to our Rocky fans, and they're like, oh my God, we got to deal with Mahomes. We had that in Elway. He's like the Elway where if this play's over, here it goes, making a play, and he's going to be a problem in the NFL. He's the best or top 2 or top 3 in the NFL. I mean, but I'm going to go, he's Mahomes. I do say that 99-yard drive or whatever, you're like, wow, with Henny, but Mahomes is a great player. You can't take anything away from him.
Joey Clams, before I ask that, the odds are up. Is John Beelan 5-1 is at Home Depot, 6-1 he's at Target, and 8-1 he's at Walmart. What do you got, Joe? He's at one of them. I know, Joe. That's because he's in a store. Those are his 3 stores. We don't know where he's at. Where do you think he's at? I'm going with Target.
It's called dedication.
Might be saying, but he's at a gin mill having a gentleman's drink right now.
Joe, I'll ask you this question, and then I'll ask the other 3 guys a Jaguar question.
Yeah.
Were you more impressed with Mahomes or Kelsey? 14 receptions, 8 yards as the go-to guy. You think that he would be double covered, right?
Kelsey is, he's one of the top tight ends I think I ever in the way he plays. We got some good ones out there, Kittles, Kelsey, and we just Gronk for the last 10 years. But I got to give it to Mahomes. He's Superman. Without him, the Chiefs ain't going to go anywhere without him. He was on the sideline yelling, not to get back in the game. He wanted the painkiller. He says, I need that. That's what he was arguing about. But because they didn't want to give it to him right away because they know it would affect him for the following week. But I got to give it to Mahomes. He's Superman. He has to, he's the one who carries that team. He's the captain of that ship. He's the captain of the gene of the Kansas City Chiefs.
There you go. Well, let me ask the other guys too. Carson, who do you think was more impressive?
I think Mahomes is obviously generational, but I would go with Travis Kelce was a bigger impact in this game. Like you said, Kenny, 14 receptions is a lot of receptions for a tight end, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. The way that they're able to use him in this offense, it's almost impossible to cover him, especially in their blocking schemes. He can line up as a blocker and then scoot out in the flat and just penetrate the defense. So I think Travis Kelce is a bigger piece of this offense, especially last game. So I'm going to go Kelce. They're both generational, though.
Yeah, exactly. Beelan, are you able to answer, or are you in the plumbing aisle?
No. Actually, the answer to your thing was none of the. I'm going to go with Carson on this. I'm going to go with, like Clam said, Superman. You're expected.
Beelan, you are a little choppy. We're gonna have to hold you until you get out of that area. If you get back in the car, I'm not going to take you out of. I'm just going to take you out of the room, but you'll be with, or just leave you like that. So just hang on with us. Ryan, who do you think? I know he's saying Kelsey though. I know he was saying that, so he thinks Kelsey. And but Ryan, about your thoughts?
Yeah, personally, no. I've got to go with Pat Mahomes on this one. There were people, including myself, there was a good number of people who I think thought, okay, well, he's definitely not going to, be able to finish that game because, like that's an injury that usually plagues you for multiple weeks. And, not only did he finish the game and, well, at least come back into the game, but he did so against a quarterback who definitely has become one of the top young quarterbacks in the AFC and the entire NFL. He did it at home in the playoffs, in a do or die matchup, and he did not, with all things considered, he did not have a bad stat line at the end of the game. He had, he missed 7 pass attempts. Well, by missed, I mean Chad Henne took those 7 pass attempts. But when he finished 22 for 30, 195, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, we'd be saying that was a good game for a quarterback if he played the full game healthy. And, we're talking about Pat Mahomes potentially having a not insignificant injury and playing through it. So I give all the props to Mahomes there. Obviously, Travis Kelce was even more helpful and even more influential to him than he would have been based on the fact that, that was likely hampering his downfield game a little bit. So I don't want to take anything away from Travis Kelce, but just to see what he was able to do to get, Valdez Scantling, the play that they got, have Kadarius Toney go 5 for 36. Sorry, Giants fans, I should have given you guys a content warning on that one. But I think that was a well played game by him.
Well, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say Mahomes was impressive, but I'm gonna say Kelsey was a little more, guys, and I'm gonna tell you why. Chad Henne came in, like Ryan said, but Chad Henne came in, marched him down 98 yards for a touchdown. The Chiefs, I don't think were ever losing in this game once Henne came in and, the rest of the game. You take away Travis Kelce in this game, I don't know if the Chiefs are winning this game. So I was a little more impressed, yes, impressed that Mahomes was able to play, but Travis Kelce impressed me with 14 catches, 2 yards short of 100 yards and 2 touchdowns with Mahomes hurt and Travis and with Chad Henne play in that one series as well. So I'm going to go Travis Kelce on that one, guys. I'll give you a Jaguars question. I'll start this one with Kurt. Has to do with your boy, Kurt. Do you think Trevor Lawrence, after his performance in this playoffs, do you think he can become a top 3 quarterback in the league as early as next year? That means he's going to have to leapfrog Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers. That means he's going to have to leapfrog them.
I mean, top 3 is hard because Burrow, Mahomes, and Rodgers, I mean, those guys are just...
Well, let's say AFC. Does he leapfrog Josh Allen?
Yeah, he might. I mean, he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. He's better than...
I'll change it to top 3 in the AFC.
I'll tell you this right now. He's better than any quarterback in the NFC, hands down, by next year. Going in, hands down. And he will be... He's right behind... he'll be right behind Burrow, Mahomes. He's top 5 in the NFL. Yep.
Top 5 in the NFL, top 3 in the AFC.
I mean, I don't know.
It's tough.
I'll say top 5, top 6 in the NFL.
Okay. Joey Clams.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence played that great of a game. He still made some mistakes. He's still growing. He's going to get there. He's on the right path. He's on the right path to get there. But I don't think he's a top 3 quarterback right now in the game. And there's not too many top quarterbacks now. And I'm going to tell you something about Josh Allen. Great athlete, not a great quarterback.
Good point.
Good point, Joe.
Kenny, real quick, can I say one thing? I forgot because actually Jen texted me about a basketball game, but I just want to give a shout out. We know my brother-in-law, Paul, had to go in today, do a little collarbone surgery. So came out, he's getting back home. He's going home. So successful surgery. So just a little shout out to Paul. He always watches our show. So
good luck.
Shout out. All right, Kenny.
Let's go to Carson.
Yeah, I would say top 3 is a little bit of a stretch. He's going into his second year. He took the Jags to the playoffs. I think they're definitely in the right direction. They went from having the number 1 pick to making the wild card and getting past the first round in the playoffs. So I think they definitely have a bright future, but especially with the stacked quarterback room in the AFC, you guys got guys like Allen and Herbert. Wilson, I think, is going to have a better year next year. Burrow or Lamar, Deshaun Watson, I think, still has potential. I think top 3 is a little bit of a stretch. I would say a top 10 quarterback in the AFC, but I still think there's guys in the NFC that are better than Lawrence. He has the potential to be there, but I think right now he's not there yet.
Ryan.
I absolutely, I have to disagree. I absolutely think that top 3 quarterback in the AFC is within reach for him next year. He's got, in my opinion, one of the smartest offensive coaches in, I almost said the American League, in the National Football League, in Doug Peterson. Going up against, yes, I'm not saying that, I'm not disrespecting the talent of anybody there, but Mahomes and Burrow. Those are the 2 that have won the AFC in the last couple of years. Those are the 2 young quarterbacks that have won the AFC. Allen has not. Tua has not. Herbert has not. Lamar has not. It's just I don't think that the gap to top 3, if you're, if in my mind, it's Mahomes, Burrow, and then the field. Now obviously there's some of those in that quote unquote field who are significantly more talented and significantly more, accomplished than others. But as of right now, that's how I look at the AFC. So do I think that Lawrence can outperform Allen, Tua, Herbert, Jackson? When I don't even know if Jackson's going to be in the AFC next year, but can he outperform those guys to get to top 3 in the AFC? I absolutely think he can. I think some of that's obviously going to be, where does Derek Carr play next year? Where does Lamar Jackson play next year? I'm not sure that Tannehill stays in Tennessee. So I think some of that's going to be, where do some of these other guys go? But, does Miami stay with Tua, or do they go and look for a bigger upgrade? But as of right now, absolutely top 3 is within reach for him for next year. If you look at the fact that, in my opinion, the number of quarterbacks who are solidified at the top of the AFC, there's only 2 of them, and it's Mahomes and Joe Burrow, excuse me.
Kurt left an important guy off the screen. Russell Wilson will be a top 3 AFC quarterback next year, and Jody Moncrief, our good friends over at Den Bronco Roundup. Check out Jody, Keith, and Dutchy on Tuesday nights, 8:30.
That was a Freudian slip.
That was definitely a Bronco fan statement there.
Hey,
but you guys are forgetting one important person. I know I said AFC, but you're forgetting. You said top 5 in the in football. There's a couple of guys that are gonna have something to say about that. My boy Jalen Hurts.
I said AFC. I said AFC.
No, I said AFC. Yep, I know I said AFC, but watch out for Jalen Hurts. And then we'll see.
Jody, I'm with you, Jody.
Yeah, his last 2 games are.
I would take
that. Homer.
I would take Jalen Hurts over Josh Allen right now.
Yeah, I think I would too. I'll say he's top 5 next year, Kurt, AFC. I'll go top 5 for sure. Maybe top 3 would be his ceiling, but nothing wrong with top 5. Kurt, I'm going to pass it off to you for Bills Bengals, and then we'll move on a little. We'll move on with a couple of the games. I know you got some Giants stuff for us, and I got some Cowboys stuff for you guys too.
All right, so we're going to do just real quick. I'm going to start with I'll start with Kenny on this one. Jody's saying Daniel Jones or Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, boys. Baker Mayfield out of that one. But real quick, Kenny, were you surprised how physical the Cincinnati Bengals were? 34 carries for 100. And, I know Bielen's going to be back in a little bit when he gets better service, but Bielen says, Jamar Chase, and they're going to throw it all around the yard. But, they just smacked Buffalo right in the gut. Ran for 172 yards. Kenny, and defensively, how good they were, how physical they were. Did it surprise you, Kenny?
Oh, big time surprise there. Buffalo home field defense has been strong all year, and they came and ran it right down their throats and then opened up the passing game. And we all saw what happened. And defensively, Bengals, yes. I was shocked, one of our old Giants, Eli Apple, had a good game, and, their front, Hubbard and Hutchinson, watch out for them. They're tough.
Paul, were you surprised?
100%. Watching that game, it was shocking to me how the Cincinnati offensive line just totally controlled the Buffalo defensive line. They had 3 starters missing, and they never missed a beat. They just totally dictated what they were able to do, whether they wanted to run the ball, whether they wanted to pass the ball. It didn't matter. They couldn't stop them, and that was shocking. Really, really surprising that Buffalo didn't make any changes. I think Cincinnati had almost 300 yards at halftime. There were no changes. Buffalo was not able to control them in the second half, and Cincinnati just totally dominated that game from start to finish.
Clams.
Yeah, listen, the Buffalo Bills, they don't play like they live in the coldest part of the NFL. They're not built that way. They're the smallest defense. They got linebackers, the size of linebackers playing on the front line. They got pushed around. Just go back and look what Miami did to them twice. Even though Miami lost, Miami was 3-0 against them against the spread. Miami put a lot of points up them in Buffalo, in the snow, in the cold weather. Buffalo's not built right. Buffalo Bills, 4 years with this coach. 4 years. You play in the the northwest, the northeast west. You play the coldest part, and you don't have a running game. You got your offense is schoolyard offense. Mickey Mouse, go out and run. Quarterback, and plus since he lost his offensive coordinator, he looks completely different. He's so sloppy. We talked about it last. We didn't like Buffalo. I love the Bengals. Bengals pushed them around. Buffalo is not built right. They're not built for a cold weather team. They're a finesse team.
All right, thank you, Clams. Jody's agreeing with you on that one, saying Buffalo misstabled huge. Carson, what's your thoughts? How surprised were you with how physical Cincinnati was?
Yeah, no, I think the Bengals are for real. They're going to be a powerhouse in the AFC for years to come. I think Joe Burrow, I would put money on him for MVP next year. The way he's been playing has been unreal. You got weapons on all sides of the ball and all cylinders with Chase and Mixon. I'm disappointed in the Bills for sure, especially Josh Allen. This was the guy who was supposed to be Superman. They were the favorite to win the Super Bowl this year. You got blown out 27-10 at home. That's a disgrace. I'm happy for the Bengals though. They're a legit team. They were one of the worst teams in the NFL 3-4 years ago. They went from number one pick to getting Joe Burrow to being AFC contenders every year now. So I'm impressed by how well the Bengals have been playing.
That's a quarterback. Oh, I see a little picture by me, Mr. Kirkpatrick.
For those who can't see, that's Dak Prescott, Jenny Hoops, and a tiny miniature Kurt Valenti in the right-hand seat.
Scoops, what's your thoughts? Cincinnati, how surprised were you, Scoops? Oh, we might have lost Scoops.
Yeah, Scoops is frozen.
Oh, there's Scoops. Oh, is Scoops frozen? There he goes. He's back. Scoops, you're back? Yeah, we thought you were back for a little bit.
Yeah, my connection was doing something screwy. But
all right, so Cincinnati, how shocked were you with how physical they were?
I mean, I was shocked just in terms of the level at which they had the level of intensity that they had. But I mean, like I said last week, this game should not have been a 17-point loss by Buffalo at home. You've got supposedly one of the best home field advantages. You got, everything that they were having coming off with, the win that they had, the emotional win they had for DeMar Hamlin. You've got supposedly, a top 2 quarterback in the NFL, which I really hope I never hear that again. You've got Brian Daboll, who is no longer there, and now he's got Josh Allen, he had Daniel Jones looking like Josh Allen briefly, and now he's got Josh Allen looking like Daniel Jones as far as the turnovers are concerned. I pulled up, this stat, before the show. You're looking at Josh Allen goes around playing different teams. You've got Baltimore. He doesn't have a 90 passer rating in any game against Baltimore. Doesn't have one against Cincinnati. Doesn't have one against, he has them against Kansas City. Doesn't have them against the Chargers. I'm not paying you $50 million a year to beat the Jets and the Dolphins every year. This narrative in the media that he's going to, be the next Jim Kelly or knock off Jim Kelly in Buffalo lore. I don't know where that's coming from, because he has not, with the exception of that game against Kansas City a couple years ago, which I'm sorry, you still have to play defense. So I don't entirely buy the fact that, they should have just had one more possession. No, sorry, you have to play defense sometimes, which, especially in a cold weather, the fact that their defense with a defensive head coach in Sean McDermott was not ready to play that game and gave up almost 30 points, not something that I was looking to see in Buffalo. So I give credit to Cincinnati, but I'm not sure there was a more disappointing end to a season this year than there was for the Buffalo Bills. And if Ken Dorsey's back next year, then I'm very curious to see what changes they make on that side of the ball, because when you go and you're making if you're ever going and you're cooking or anything like that, and what do you want to make for dinner today? Oh, just make something taste good. That's basically what their game plan is with Josh Allen. Just rely on Josh's freakish talent and hope that something good comes of it. There's no structure to it. There's no running game behind Josh Allen. And frankly, I hope Josh Allen doesn't get himself, physically hurt, trying to physically and literally hurt his back trying to carry this offense.
You know what, Ryan? You made a great point. Kenny, let's do this rapid fire style because my second question was this, and I'm going to start with Mr. Clams on this one. Clams. Sean McDermott.
Johnny Dielen's back with us, by the way.
Okay. Ryan just said it. Clams, you said it before. But you know what? I don't believe in this, where we talk with Staff Fierro and our good friend Dave Slade, where you have a 14-year window. Windows don't work like that for champion. It's 4 years, 4 years, and then you got to go. And you know what?
If that, how many times have we seen a team in the playoffs? The Tennessee Titans were the #1 seed. They're
right.
They're
the window's done. That window's done. That window's done. You're right. Absolutely right. So my question, rapid fire style, Clams, next year, because my answer is 100% gone. If Sean McDermott don't get you to the Super Bowl next year, I don't care if they're 14-3, he's gone. Yes or no, Clams?
Absolutely. I said he's on the hot seat right now. If I'm the owner, what's going on? That's garbage. You play below zero weather. Where's your running game? You're not physical on defense.
Yep.
You're small.
Yeah, his chair will melt the snow in Buffalo if he doesn't go to the Super Bowl.
Kenny.
Yes, but Buffalo, they're too nice up there, Kurt. They got the nicest fans in the world. They'll be forgiven.
Have you been to Buffalo?
Man,
not when they play the Jets.
I'm gonna say he's gonna still have a chance. They'll throw some kind of excuse in there. So I don't think he's on the hot seat at all.
Carson.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they have big expectations for this team, and there was definitely a letdown this year. And like Ryan said, there's not many wiggle room in the NFL. It's win or go home, and you got to show up and you got to get the job done, or you're going to be fired. So I think he's definitely on the hot seat for sure.
Belin.
Can I just put one quick caveat to my statement? After seeing what I witnessed in the offseason with all these offensive coordinators getting sacked instead of the head coaches, I would say they'll probably get rid of their Ken Dorsey if he's still there before they'll get rid of McDermott. That's all I got to say.
Belin.
Yeah, that's the talk in DC, but I don't think McDermott knew between him and Josh Allen. I think it's just getting the right piece of teams this year that had a lot of talking about small guys. We're talking about Jordan Von Miller. Like, there was injury, I don't know. I don't think he's going.
And Ryan.
I have to respectfully disagree a little bit with what Paul said about. I do think that John Dorsey. I like John Dorsey. While I do think that Ken Dorsey should be on a hotter seat than Sean McDermott, I would normally agree with that. The problem that I have with that is that it's not like a Denver situation where you have a historic defense and a pitiful offense. Sorry, Kurt. It's not like you have a situation like that where you're like a top on the defensive side of the ball. So at least he's like, okay, well, at least his defense is solid. We just got to get the offensive side of the ball right. He doesn't have that defensive leg to stand on. He doesn't have that, we're a top 3 defense. They were a top 3 defense, but that's not the case anymore. Now, I know that Von Miller went down and yada, 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 but if you're relying on one player to make or break your defense for a playoff run, then I'm sorry, you've got a problem with that to begin with. But no, if this organization was willing to run Rex Ryan out of town a few years ago, who had a lot less to work with, then I don't think that I would be – I think I'd be very concerned if I were – Sean McDermott. And if not, and if he comes out next year and doesn't win or doesn't make the AFC Championship again and they still stick with him, then
shame on them. Shame on them.
Ryan, what I was just saying was that after so many of the offensive coordinators were being scapegoat, like Byron Leftwich, for example, it wouldn't shock me if that occurred in Buffalo if they went. I wasn't saying Dorsey should be fired. All I was saying was looking around the canvas of what happened this year so far.
If they don't make the AFC Championship, I think both should be 86.
But see, the difference with McDermott is that McDermott's been into the AFC Championship game like that. So him and you know, I'm a Jets fan. They had a lot of offensive line, you know. So if those guys were all healthy, that team was a team to beat this year. No question about it.
But Beelan, you know what? I heard this today on the Bronco radio, and you can't get any truer than this statement. And John Elway made this statement in 2015 when he had to fire John Fox and he brought in Kubiak, and he said, "There's coaches that'll get you to the Super Bowl, and there's coaches that are going to win you a Super Bowl." So again, you cannot play around with these windows. There's no guarantee you are still one of the better, but there's going to be a lot more better teams in the AFC next year. You know, that this window might be gone. You cannot play around and say, well, he wins 12 and 13 games. It doesn't matter. No offense, Beelan, but beating the Jets don't matter. Beating the Dolphins don't matter. You guys somebody said it before. What do you do come postseason? That's where you make your money. And you know what? He hasn't. He's got to one AFC Championship game. You could say, well, last year in Kansas City, and you know what? Just like Ryan said, it wasn't the offense last year. The defense.
You're a defensive head coach. And you're a defensive head coach.
Through that game. So, you know what? I don't want to hear about, too, you know, the same thing somebody said about Byron Leftwich. He had a 45-year-old quarterback throw 66 times. That's moronic. And you know what? He should be fired. The whole staff should be fired, but Byron Leftwich should have been fired for that because that's idiotic. Who does that 66 times? Run the ball.
No running game. No running game.
They should have a running game though. Fournette, you know, he's a stud running back. So
66 times with a 45-year-old quarterback. Who does that?
Is that all you had, Kurt? Is that all you had for?
That's all I got for that game. Clams wanted something, I think, though, Kenny.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Clams.
Yeah, and Buffalo only scored what, 10 points on Sunday?
10 points.
Come on, you
10.
play part of the world in football, and you don't have a running game. You know what? The coach is on the hot seat. I don't care what anybody says. I take a look right now. If I'm the owner, I'm pissed off.
Me too.
I'm pissed at the general manager. I'm pissed at the head coach. What do you're destroying this quarterback. You know, everybody wants to crown the teams in the beginning of Buffalo's going here. I thought, they didn't look good all year long. They did not look good all year long. We keep saying something's wrong up there. We said it.
All right, guys, I'm going to catch up. We're going to do these three questions, yes, no, rapid fire, so we can get to the Giants because I know Kurt has some Giants stuff. 49ers, Cowboys. Kurt, I know what your answer is going to be. Rapid fire. Is Dak overrated? Yes or no?
Most overpaid player in football. Yes.
Joey Clams.
Good.
Go ahead, Clams. I'm sorry. Say that again.
I said no good. He's not coached right, and you can see they're sloppy. That's a sloppy team there, the Cowboys.
Beelan, is Dak overrated? Yes or no?
It depends on if you're rating him off his.
Mr. Rosen.
Yes. Short and sweet.
Carson.
100%.
And Ryan.
B-level quarterback, A-level money. All I have to say.
You're generous giving him B.
I'll go back to Kurt. One stays and one goes. No one's a free agent, but if one stays and one goes, who you keeping? Zeke or Tony Pollard?
I'm still going to take Pollard, but the injury hurt. I mean, it was a no-brainer without the injury. I'll still go Pollard.
Joey Clams.
I mean, it depends on what are you looking on giving him. Like, you know, I can't answer a question. How many years you looking to give Pollard?
We'll give him 3 years.
Cut and pay. So
$7 million.
They might do that way. He's going to take a cut and pay, and then they're going to, they could. Running backs are a dime a dozen. You don't want to invest all your for running back. You need linemen.
Zeke or Pollard? Beelan, who you keeping? Who's going?
Just because he's more versatile and he's notorious.
Paul.
Zeke said he would take a pay cut, but I'm going with TP.
Carson.
Yeah, I'm going with Pollard. Long term, cheaper too.
Carson. Ryan.
Oh, buddy.
I was going to say the same thing as my paisano Joey Clams. Invest in that line and then see if you got money left over for Pollard.
I'm going Pollard.
Kenny, real quick, I'll ask you, Kenny, Jody Moncrief, you taking Russ or Dak?
Russ.
What the hell kind of a question is that?
Russ. I'm
also
going Tony Pollard. You know me, Kurt. I've been telling you,
Yeah,
your Broncos better take him away from the Cowboys. Go sign Tony Pollard. My last one. I'll start again with Kurt. Again, rapid fire. Brock Purdy, Kurt. Limited action. Should he have a shot still to get votes for offensive rookie? I don't know if he can, but if he can, do you think he'll get votes for rookie of the year?
Yeah, why not? Yeah. I mean, again, and I like him. And listen, think about this. A $45 million quarterback got outplayed by a guy who makes about $870,000. What does that tell you? Totally outplayed by him. But, that San Francisco best offensive coordinator in football, Mr. Shanahan, helps him. But I'm going to say yeah, Kenny. I'll say yeah for that.
I'm going to agree with you, Kurt, because, he does have a supporting cast, but he's still got to make the throws. So he's making the throws. He's enough to win the games, and he's undefeated. So, yeah, I'm going to give him a vote for Rookie of the Year. Joey.
Yeah, the odds are up on the boards. He's one of the favorites for Rookie of the Years at the casinos. And you know what? Yeah. And there's he only played 6-7 games, and the running back for the Jets, the same thing. He was favorite for Rookie of the Year until he got hurt. But you're looking at what you just seen last, and you know what? And you look in his eyes, he doesn't look like he has the fear. He's got a big test coming up. The first time you're going to be in away this weekend, it's going to be we'll see how he does. But he's up for Rookie of the Year. He's one of the favorites.
Thielen.
Wilson, man. There was a lot of different quarterbacks. So, boy, G will.
There you go. Paul.
There have been some rookies who haven't played a full season and have gotten votes in other sports. I would say, yeah. He's only playing the most important position. Why not? I would say yes, definitely.
Carson.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'd say he definitely deserves some votes, recognition.
Carson, I'm going to ask you this one from Jody. Next year, 2023 starter, Brock Purdy or Trey Lance?
Wow. Purdy. I think they're going to get rid of Trey Lance.
Me too.
Yep.
I'm with you guys. Ryan, same question. Purdy, Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, you look at the numbers that he's put up. He's got almost 100 or better passer rating every single game he's played. I'm not going to dock the guy because he didn't play Week 5 against Carolina. He's playing and winning in the most important games of the season. I think he definitely has to get votes for Rookie of the Year.
All right, Kurt, I rapid fired that one so you can get some Giants stuff.
Sorry, were you asking me both questions or just one, or just that first question?
Just the Rookie of the Year. Limited action.
Okay, my apologies.
Of the year. Oh, you're fine. Kurt, I rapid fired that so you can get to the Giants because we only got a little over a half hour left and we got some.
Yeah. I'll be quick. I'll be quick. I'll be quick with this, and I'm going to start with Paul and the two Holly Jolly guys first. I'll start with Ken. Actually, I'll start with Kenny first. Okay. All I heard this year from you guys were this coaching staff and Dable and yada yada yada, and you didn't hear the opening, my opening statement, but my opening statement was, and I'm not even joking around. I'm not trying to be funny, but this coaching mismatch on Saturday night, what the Eagle coaches did to Dable, Kafka, and Wink Martindale is the worst I've seen in a playoff game since my Broncos staff got embarrassed at the Super Bowl with the Seattle staff. Just totally outplayed, totally game plan, physical domination. The Eagle, the coaching staff just outclassed them. So my point is, first game, and you talk about adjustments, right? You were just saying somebody didn't make an adjustment and stuff in there. But first game, you talk about how are teams game planning? How are they coming out? So Kenny, I'll start with you first. First week, first time they play, 24-7 at half Eagles. Second time they play, 16-0. So going into that playoff game in the first half, Giants are outscored 40-7. So now all I heard last week, this coaching staff, wait till you see what they got. We're ready to go. And 28-0 at half. So in the first half, the Eagles beat you in 3 games, 68-7. Mr. Kirkpatrick, you can't be happy with that coaching performance. And I mean, you can't be happy, can you?
I'd be a fool if I said yes, right? We didn't show championship.
Any red flags on that though?
No, and I'll tell you, if there were red flags, would Wink Martindale and Mike Kafka, especially Mike Kafka, be getting a second interview with Houston? Okay, they had a bad game. They didn't match well up with the Eagles at all this year. A lot of teams didn't. Hurts is, I believe, undefeated this year. Okay, so nobody has matched up well against this Eagles team.
Well, I'm just saying, I saw Doug Peterson.
I will tell you one thing. I saw Doug Peterson go into Arrowhead on Saturday and play with Kansas City. Yes, your coach did not have your team ready on Saturday night. And I'm going to let Paul go, but I am concerned about one thing with the coaching staff, and that is our performance throughout the whole NFC East this year. Okay, if they have any concerns with the coaching staff, was our performance with the NFC East. We lost twice to the Cowboys. We lost twice to the Eagles. We tied with Washington, and we beat Washington.
Okay, fair.
We got to get ahead of Dallas and Phil. We got to have one of those 2 teams next year, or that's not a step forward, in my opinion. So we got to get ahead of one of those teams next year and continue to build. We'll see what happens in the off season. We have a lot of money to play with. I'm excited to see what we're going to do with that money, and I'm excited to see what we're going to do in the draft. So I'm going to see I know you got questions about free agencies coming up.
Yeah.
And you might be surprised with 1 or 2 of my answers, but I'm going to let Paul take over this first question, and we'll get into your next question.
All right, Paul. So coaching staff, were you disappointed with that performance and how this team was ready, especially first half, and that they didn't show up for Saturday night?
Listen, there isn't one Giant fan, including myself, that wasn't disappointed in the results of that game. After the first 2 games, and I'll throw out the last game. The last game of the year. We'll go back to the first game. After they got their asses kicked in that first game, you say to yourself, okay, if there's an opportunity to play them again, whether it was the playoffs, they're going to show up. Clearly, they got totally outplayed, outcoached, manhandled every which way. As Sis would say, it was a woodshed game. No question about it. But that being said, what I will say is it's a process, all right? No one expected them to be there. They were there. They got their asses kicked, no question. I just remember going back into the mid-'80s, and some of you guys weren't alive. In '84, the Giants, with the coach by the name of Bill Parcells, beat the Rams and then got their asses kicked by the eventual Super Bowl champion 49ers, one of the great teams of all time, led by Joe Montana. The next year, Giants made the playoffs, and once again, they got their asses kicked, outcoached, outplayed by a great Bears team that wound up going to the Super Bowl and kicking the Patriots' ass, all right? Next year, they won the Super Bowl, finishing 14-2. All I'm saying is that clearly the Eagles had a much, much, much better. There wasn't one player that the Giants had out there, maybe except Dexter Lawrence, excuse me, that you could possibly say was better than any player on the Eagles starting lineup, okay? No question about it. Was it disappointing? Absolutely. Any Giant fan that thought otherwise, then they're crazy. But looking at the totality of the whole season, it was clearly a promising season, a surprising season, and that's the way a Giant fan is going to have to look at this point. But from that standpoint of that night, absolutely, it was totally disappointing. In fact, I even said to my wife, I said, I hope they don't embarrass us. They did. What can I say?
I'm going to switch up I'll go to question. I'm going to go to Carson. Same question. I guess my question, Carson, though, is like, even though the Giants had a winning season and stuff like that, were you a little shocked of how they got beat on Saturday night, Carson?
Yeah, I put a lot of money on the Giants plus 10.5 points, and I wasn't pretty happy at Paul and Kenny. But yeah,
sorry, Carson.
You're good. I'm just playing with you. I think the Giants, you guys were running into an absolute powerhouse with the Eagles. Obviously one of the favorites in the NFC. I think you guys had a great year. I don't think, at the start of the year, I think what Dable did with you guys has been great. I think there's going to be a lot of questions about what you guys are going to do with Daniel Jones. And I think I would say it was a letdown because you can't lose by 31 points in a playoff game. That's just unacceptable. I don't care who you're playing, but I would say the Giants do have a positive direction with their coaching staff.
Is Mr. Beelan still here?
We lost Beelan.
All right, let's go to Clams.
No, I'm here.
Oh, Beelan's there.
All right, I'll go. I'm going to go. You know what? I'm going to go to Beelan up for a different one. Clams, let me ask you about the Giants, the coaching staff. I know you're high on the staff, but you had to be disappointed on Saturday. No, Clams?
Yeah. Listen, this is what it was. He pickpocket. He was a pickpocket, also pocketed with his twins. They were 5-1 against their division. They lost 3 times to the Eagles and twice to the Cowboys. The thing is, this team that he has, they fear the Eagles because look what they do against their division. They fear the Cowboys. They split against the Redskins. He's going to change that. This is not his squad. He came in there. He's going to make change. You're going to see 15 different players. The thing is, what happened on Saturday, he knew what he had. He had guys. He had to take a shot. He tried to throw the dice with his left hand, and there's only 2 people in this world who can throw the dice with their left hand. Lefty Benny Ruggiero. Lefty Two Guns. They called him Lefty because he threw the dice with his left hand, and me, Joey Clams. I threw the dice. 4th and 8. He knew it. He had to do something. He goes, I got to try to get because they were fear in their eyes. They were defeated when they ran out of that tunnel. And, you could say he did. You want to say he did a bad coaching job? He took a shot. He knew what he had. He knew he wasn't supposed to be on that field. He beat a team last week in the Vikings. They won games by one point the whole year. The Packers were down. If the Packers would have never made the playoffs, maybe they wild card.
But again, that's where going forward, and we'll get into that with the money situation. But there ain't listen. Odds are right now they ain't gonna be back there next year. So you got the Lions are better, the Packers are better. The Rams are gonna be better. That's why when you can't just we're gonna go here. I mean,
you know what? This guy, he had a great season. This coach,
they overachieved. They overachieved.
I believe that. But you know what? Let's see what he does with his team. This wasn't his quarterback. This wasn't his running back.
Well, we're going to get into that in a second because that's the big question on what you do with this quarterback. All right, let me get to Ryan real quick. Ryan, I'm not going to answer that question for you. I'm going to ask you and Beelan this one. Ryan, did Jalen Hurts look like Jalen Hurts, the real Jalen Hurts to you on Saturday night, or are you still like he's not 100%, or are you enough confident he's ready? He's back. He's ready to go.
I mean, yes to both of those. Yes, I think that he's not 100%, but yes, he looked to me like, what I'm used to seeing. And that's, I think, one reason why I'm optimistic going into the game against the 49ers is because, yes, he was back to what I'm expected, to see out of him, but I don't think that he was 100% yet. I think that there's still more you can get out of him. There were a couple of times where I saw, him either taking a play or making a read, and I was just like, that's not like him. So there were a couple of moments, bless you, where I did see that some things where I thought, okay, that's still maybe a slight sign of it. But should I be concerned about that when they beat one of their biggest rivals by 31 in a playoff game? No, I'm not concerned by that at all. In my mind, if there was any shadow of a doubt behind if I'm paying Jalen Hurts franchise quarterback money, it was erased on Saturday. He's my quarterback. We don't need to use those first rounders on a quarterback. We don't need to go and trade for a quarterback or sign a quarterback. Jalen Hurts, I'm locking him up. I'm giving him the 40 a year or the 30 plus a year, and I'm spending those draft picks elsewhere because I believe that this roster can handle he's the kind of quarterback, I believe, who can handle a quote unquote less talented roster around him, because we've seen that when he, when guys go down, he lost, a lineman, he lost a defensive player, he lost a receiver, he is able to overcome some of these things. And that's what you look at. That's the final checkbox you need to see is, can you overcome these things in big situations? That's the final checkbox that gets you your money as a quarterback. And in my mind, I want them to win on Saturday, and I want them to go and, annihilate either Kansas City or Cincinnati in the Super Bowl. But if they don't, is that gonna make me say, oh, I'm not 100% sure, still I'm not 100% sure on Jalen Hurts? No, he's done everything I need to see from him. Go give him that money and start, using these draft picks on some, future defensive players and, getting that defensive line rebuilt, because we're going to be losing Cox. We're going to be losing Graham. We're going to be losing, likely at some point, we're going to be losing Jason Kelsey on the offensive line, even though we just drafted Dickerson. So start using those draft picks for that. We don't need to be drafting no quarterback for the next 5 years.
Okay. Good point. You know what? I'm with you. He earned his money. Beelan. Jalen Hurts. Did he look like the real Jalen Hurts Saturday night? I know you had the Giants too, Beelan. You weren't happy, but what's your thoughts? Did Jalen Hurts look legit?
17.5 points. Unreal. But, I mean, listen, right, you're going to get that type of play out regardless of Hurt. But, he difference between last year and this year when better wide receiver in A.J. Brown. That display progress, and it's in the league, so that helps him out, quarterback, right? So, or yeah, is it a matter of time where pick up that offense, like the Wildcats and the Post and stuff? He's going to be one of those guys, and Eagles think they're going for them, and just like you have like kind of a window a little on defense. So in those positions to take over, I don't think they're going to be out of it, but the future that team.
All right, Kenny, I'm going to do one more quick. I had a bunch of stuff, but I'm only going to do one more because I know we've got to get time. You want to get to around the thing, and it's the $1 million question tonight, and obviously, it's the one, Daniel Jones, Jody Moncrief. You're going to pay Daniel Jones what next year? $40 million a year. And, we joke around and we laugh about it, but this guy just is not worth that money. He's not. And, speaking with Kenny the other day, and this is where when people answer the question, when somebody makes a statement like Kenny, when he makes it, I'm just like, that's it. That's it for me. Exit off. Because when me and Kenny talked on Monday or Sunday, we're talking about the game. Kenny's first question, I don't remember if you remember, Kenny, your first comment to me was, I don't understand. Why didn't Dable run him? I'm not paying $40 million for a quarterback to run. If you are not a quarterback first, you will not get the money. This guy is not worth the money. He can't throw the ball deep. Congratulations to what's your defensive coordinator's Gannon, who shut the crossing routes down. He can't throw the ball deep. You shut that down. You shut Daniel Jones down. I'm not paying for a guy to take snaps and run the ball. I mean, I could get the guy Huntley from I'll draft Anthony Richardson from Florida, let him do that. I'm not paying $40 million for that. So when Kenny says to me, I don't understand why they weren't going to run him. Well, you're in a playoff game. You got to pass. You're a quarterback. You want this money. Throw it, pass it. He can't do it. He failed it. My opinion, there's absolutely nowhere near. I'm laughing at him. Jody, I'm laughing at him. He wants $35 million. They got to stop this in the NFL. They really do. You saw the difference of legit quarterbacks, and I call him a fringe starter where, honestly, he might not start on 6-7 teams in football. I'm not giving him the money. So we'll start around the horn. Kenny, are you giving this guy this money? And again, if you give him the money, you're saying about the Giants have all this money. Where? If you pay him and Barkley's wants 16 million, I mean, how are you going to get better? You're like Joey Clem said, you're not as good as your record. If you run this team back, you might win 7 games. Where are you getting better if you pay this guy? Me, I'm not paying him. Kenny.
My answer might not be as popular with some Giant fans. You know, he was my quarterback for the year, so I got to root for him. I'm a fan of his. He did well. He got us to the playoffs almost singly this year. But I said it. But there's a problem. Not just Daniel Jones, offensive line. Evan Neal struggled a lot on that left-hand side on the line, not protecting. You know, Daniel Jones doesn't have much time. The receivers were on the weak side. I don't know if that's what part of the thing was with Kenny Golladay. Carson might be able to help us out there with the Detroit Lions. Was he a huge deep threat? Did they throw the ball deep to Golladay? Because maybe that's why Golladay wasn't as good this year. I don't know. I want to know what quarterbacks are making $35 million, and I can name some. The problem, like you said, Kurt, it's got to stop. Is teams are paying these quarterbacks $35-40 million. Carson Wentz is getting a ton of money. You know, there's a lot of bad quarterbacks that are getting money.
Right, but the problem is all those teams that are doing it aren't getting anywhere. They're not winning. They're not advancing.
To answer your question,
we joke around this, but all we want. The Dallas Cowboys are probably a top 3 overall when you look at running game and O-line and weapons and a defense, and they can't get there because they're paying, like Ryan said, a B guy. I'm giving them a C guy paying money. Cousins can't get him over there.
To answer your question,
what's right?
I'm negotiating between 25 and 30, and 30's pushing it. That's pushing it because I don't know if there's better options out there. And there's nobody in the draft that I want where we're picking. That's one. And 2, I don't know if there's a better option out there besides Lamar Jackson, who I would give the money to. That's the only guy I would give the money to. Over Daniel Jones getting 25 to 30. That would be my answer, Kurt.
Okay. Carson, you giving them, well, we're saying like 35 to 40 is really what Jody, like that's what they were talking about.
I wouldn't go that high.
Well, and that's just it, Kenny. You made a great point. I mean, these quarterbacks are only going to keep getting paid more and more and more as the years go on. And I think with Daniel Jones, he's not elite. And I'll go back to what Ryan keeps saying. You know, he's a C average quarterback, and he's going to ask for A+ money. And you know, he showed you what he can do. He can get you there, but he cannot win the big time prime time games. And that's what Kurt's been saying all along. You know, you give the guy the most money when he's proven it the most. And Daniel Jones hasn't done it yet, but like you just said, Kenny, I don't see a guy in the draft that you could go to. Maybe like Kurt was saying, maybe an Anthony Richardson, but I don't think you're giving up on Daniel Jones just yet. And I think the average, you know, quarterback price is right around that 20 to 30 million. That's going to be the average asking price for all of these quarterbacks, even if they're the bottom tier of the league. And I think Daniel's kind of somewhere between the top and the bottom. He's kind of right in the average.
Ryan.
I have defended, oh my God, Jody. Carson Wentz would look good in Giants blue next year. I already can't stand him, so why not? But no, I've defended Daniel Jones quite a bit. And I mean, I would argue I defended him about as well as the Eagles did this weekend. But I think that the going into next year, with the quarterbacks that are going to be available, you're going to potentially have Rodgers available, Jackson, some of these guys. I would go that route if I were the Giants and try and see. That's my point. And see if I could, you know, ideally you want to draft a guy that you can have for 15 years. That's like, you know, like they just said, unless they're trading up to number 1 or number 2 to get Bryce Young, I'm not seeing where they're getting that quarterback in the draft. Derek Carr, there we go. That's another one. So I would go one of those guys. But this team, you hired Brian Dable, and you're going to structure these guys. I mean, I wouldn't pay a running back personally. I think that the position's too volatile, like Joey Clam said. But yes, you have that money to throw around, but you also have to make sure it's allocated efficiently and effectively. Otherwise, you're going to be like the Tennessee Titans. I'll go back to them. Sorry to pick on the Titans twice, but going back to them where they're just spending the worst money in the places that are making the least sense. And what did it lead them to do? It led them to give up A.J. Brown last year. Respect to Treylon Burks, but he's not A.J. Brown. He's just not. So I think that if I'm the Giants, that sounds weird to say, but if I'm the Giants, I'm going into this offseason and I'm looking at, who's available on the free agent or trade market. Is, Jackson available? Is Rodgers available? Is Carr available? Maybe does something surprising happen in Arizona when the things get shaken up? Does Kyler Murray become available? Those are the kind of things that I'm looking at. Trey Lance, does Trey Lance shake loose from San Francisco? I can go on, but that's what I would do, because I think that the Giants are not in a position where they should be waiting 3 years, for potentially a late round quarterback to pop. But at the same time, I think that their ceiling with Daniel Jones is not what they're looking for. You can't go from, hiring Brian Dable and bringing in Joe Shane and all this, this is going to be the next era of, blue blood Giants football, and then commit $30 million a year to a guy who just, if I'm going to be paying that, top market or even second tier market money, he's got to give me something that I can't get somewhere else. And I just don't see what I get from Daniel Jones that I don't get anywhere else.
Paul.
All right. With all due respect to you guys, if the Giants were one player away, and obviously after watching that debacle on Saturday night, they are not one player away. If they were one player away and you said, okay, can you get Aaron Rodgers? Can you get, I don't know who else. First of all, I don't like Lamar Jackson. I wouldn't want him. I wouldn't even want Derek Carr. But if they were one quarterback, and I'll use Kurt, I'll use your team. Denver felt they were one quarterback away. They went out and got Russell Wilson. What the hell happened with that situation? Okay, top defense, great offensive weapons. That blew up. Okay, the coach was horrible. Grant you that. The Giants are not one player, one quarterback away from winning. They need so much help all around, and we all saw that. If you have a guy that has fit into a system, and Kurt, you're constantly talking about fitting into a system, having that system. Well, here's this kid that had 3 offensive coordinators, 3 head coaches over his first 3 years. They finally get a guy who not only can teach this guy, has elevated his play to the best record in terms of interception rate. Like I think Ryan said, Josh Allen came down here and Daniel Jones went up to Buffalo. He's developed into what the system is that Dable and Joe Shane are looking for. They came out in their press conference the next day, I think it was Monday or yesterday, and said they're looking to sign this guy, whether anyone likes it or not. I think if they can go out, sign this kid, and I'm not saying give him $40 million a year, but what I'm saying is if they can come to some type of reasonable contract that's going to work for both parties, bring this kid back, bring in some weapons. Somebody said, bring in an AJ Howard. That's what they need. They need players that are going to help him develop even further. And I think that's what the Giants are looking to do. You may disagree with me, but I truly believe that if you give this kid an opportunity, he's going to then elevate his game even further.
Clams.
Let me tell you something. It's such a sticky situation because the quarterback play this year in the NFL was terrible. You bet your old regime of Rodgers and Brady weren't up to par. Even though Brady was like third in yards, but he wasn't up to par. Rodgers wasn't up to par, and Allen, he went down. So that made, you know what? The quarterback play was terrible. I mean, even like for Kenny to say, like, and I understand that, they should have ran him more. When your quarterback's got you're telling your quarterback to run, there's a problem there. And listen, I wouldn't give him no money. I would sit him down and say, listen, we're here to win. You know what? We can lose without you. We're gonna give you something, but you're not getting 40, and I don't even want to give you 30 because you gotta read the room. It's like you're going to Krispy Kreme, they got all the fresh donuts, they're expensive, but they want $30 a dozen. Now you gotta go to Dunkin' Donuts at 9:00 at night. They got their old stale French curls. That's out there. I don't want. Go give him a big contract. Running backs for a dime a dozen. Another so good with Jacksonville. Imagine if he was on the Giants. This kid had no weapons. I gotta give him that. But you know what? Like I said, they went into Philly scared. And you could see right away.
Beelan, are you with us? I think, is Beelan frozen again, Mr. Kirkpatrick?
Looks like he's frozen again.
Looks like.
All right, Kenny, that's all for Giants. I'll save the rest.
Let's save the rest.
I know you want to go around the horn.
I'll do around the horn, NFL. We'll just do this quick. I'm going to give each of you guys a question. Who do I want to start with? I'm going to go Carson. Best chance for a 2023 turnaround as a team. I'll name a couple. If you got an et cetera, you can throw an et cetera in there. Teams I threw around are Kurt's Broncos, the Aaron Rodgers list Packers. We don't know yet. LA Rams, your boy Matthew Stafford. Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson, or an et cetera team, Carson. Who's going to have the best chance of turning their season around?
Can I name my Detroit Lions?
Not turn. Yeah, you can say the Lions. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, off that list, I think Kurt's Broncos are going to make the playoffs next year. I think that whoever they hire, I think Russell Wilson's going to bounce back. But not to toot my own horn, I think the Lions are for real. I think we're going to win the NFC North next year. Ben Johnson, we brought back, was huge. I know he missed the playoffs, but that future is bright. Watch out for the Lions next year's boys.
I'll give this question to one more person. I'll give this one the same question to Paul.
Well, I'll say this. I think the Broncos better win the Super Bowl, get to the Super Bowl next year. No excuses. But that being said, I think I'm going to shock you. I'm going to say Cleveland. I think with a whole season under his belt, I think Cleveland in that division is going to be a surprise team next year.
Joey Clams. Which of these teams, or an et cetera, has the brightest future? They made the playoffs this year. They're ahead of schedule, these teams. And one team just missed the playoffs and is ahead of schedule. The Jaguars, the Giants, the Seahawks, Carson's Lions, or an et cetera. Who's got the best chance to elevate into a contender for the next few years out of those teams if you picked one? And maybe contend for a Super Bowl in the near future.
Well, you know what? I mean, if who's the Lions quarterback? Carson who are they going with?
No, sticking with Goff.
All right, you know what? He already was in a Super Bowl. I'm gonna go with the Lions. I see an upside. The only thing is, the coach is gonna get a little sharper. That's why he's got to a little bit.
Get off to a faster start.
Great offensive line. I'm gonna go with the Lions.
Nice.
Ryan, what about you? Who do you think in this group?
So you said, sorry, the connection was fuzzy. You said Browns. Or did you not? Was this not Browns?
No, we're on the Jaguars, the Giants, the Seahawks, or the Lions.
Ryan, say the Jets.
Or you can throw the Jets, et cetera.
No, the Jets. I don't understand why they drafted Zach Wilson. So until he's gone, I can't be too high on them. But that being said. I'm also gonna say the Lions. And when you first had the list, I wanted to say the Jaguars, but just based on the fact that path of least resistance is coming into my head a little bit too, and I just going up against some of that gauntlet of quarterbacks in the AFC. I think that the path to get there, I see really two legitimate quarterbacks potentially being long-term threats in the NFC. So I'll give the Lions that one to at least get to the Super Bowl in the near future.
And a boys.
Nice. Beelan, you with us?
Listen, how's up there? We're
you're choppy.
Probably. You hear me?
You're choppy, but yeah, you're choppy. You're gonna have to hold your thoughts. Kurt, I'll give you this one. This one's good for you. Out of these 4 playoff teams, Kurt.
Yep.
Which one of these 4 teams are going to be a disaster next year? If you had to pick one, the Vikings, the Cowboys, the Ravens, or the Bucks?
The Vikings, the Ravens.
Which one's going to have a disappointing season out of these 4 next year?
Say it again.
Vikings, the Ravens, Cowboys, or Bucks? I know the Bucks might be the easy one, but who else would you pick off that list? I'm looking at it now. I'll answer. Tough. I'm going to go Ravens. I'm going to go Ravens because you don't know what's going on there with Lamar.
You know what? I'm going to say Vikings.
Okay.
Out of that group.
Guys,
Jody's saying Bucks without Tom. If there's no Tom Brady, then yeah, I'm going to take them too.
I got a 1 to 2 minute Bronco Mania for Kurt, and it won't take longer than that. And then we'll do wits and wagers, Kurt. All right?
Yep.
To wrap up the show, and we should be done by 9 o'clock.
Okay. Penny, can I do my song?
Oh yeah. Let's do your song first, and then we'll do Kurt's.
Okay.
We didn't do
that.
9.
We went way too long, guys. I'm sorry. We went way too long on the championships, the division games. We got 5 minutes left, guys. We can't do it all. I mean, we're gonna have to skip something. We'll do. I know we got other stuff to do, Joe, but we went way too long, guys. We can't do everything. Sorry. Go ahead, Paul.
All right. This is to the tune of Wanted, Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi. I'm sure many of you guys must know the song. All right, nice. Here we go. It's the playoffs, only the results never change. Every Sunday it seems we're wasting our time. Another Jerry's World disaster where the faces are so cold. They're the Cowboys. In the playoffs, they hide. Everybody wants them dead, not alive. Wanted, dead, not alive. Dak usually is asleep, sometimes in a haze. Dak fans like Beelan are left in a daze. They're the Cowboys. In the playoffs, they hide. Everybody wants them dead, not alive. Wanted, dead, not alive.
Way nice. To go, Paul. You might be the next American Idol. I'm not sure.
Oh, wait. This just in. Dak Prescott and his girlfriend of 2 years broke up.
I saw that.
You know what the reason is? She knows she's never going to get a ring.
All right, guys.
By the way, Keith is saying late to the show. Good to see you, gentlemen.
Guys, I'm going to do Joey's real quick. He had a good question, and I apologize for jumping, but I'm looking at the time, guys, and we got a lot of people on here, so we're not getting to a lot of things that we wanted to tonight. But Joey had a good question, and I'll start with Kurt. Who's got the best quarterback coach? Who's the best quarterback combo coach left in the playoffs, Kurt? You got Reed Mahomes, Taylor Burrow, Purdy Shanahan, and Steichen and Hurts.
You got again. Listen, I've got.
Let's take. All right, if you don't,
I'm going Reed Mahomes.
All right,
Reed Mahomes.
Who's number two? Let's Mahomes number one. Who would you take if you couldn't take Reed Mahomes? Let's change the question up there.
It's hard, man, because Burrow is. I'm gonna go with my boy Shanahan and Purdy.
Okay, fine. Who would you take? Reed Mahomes, we know is number one. Who would you take if you couldn't take them?
From the moment that I saw the change in philosophy in a week last year, it's got to be Sirianni Steichen and Jalen Hurts, the coaching job that they've done is pristine.
I'm going to go Taylor Burrow. I was wrong on him when he first came in. He's got this team back one game away from being back-to-back Super Bowls, and the quarterback as well. So I'm going Taylor and Burrow. Joey, it was your question. What are you going with?
Yeah, it was definitely Mahomes Reed, but you know what? I'm going to go the same thing. Taylor Burrow, they've been there last year. They would, you know what? The guy's got like a stone face. Like, you know, we knocked this coach, but, you know, both of them been there, and they get it done. There are another ones that pickpocketers, they sneak through. The playoffs they sniffed through last year, and here they are again. They were a play away from losing and they ran the ball back on a fumble return for 99 yards, and here they are. I got money on 49ers, but you know, rookie quarterback, and Shanahan still got to prove in the fourth quarter to win the game. Let's go.
Cool.
I'm going to go Taylor Burrow. I don't think Zach Taylor is getting the recognition and the kudos that he should be getting. I mean, they went to the Super Bowl last year. We weren't expected to. This year, they're one game away from, again, going to the Super Bowl. I'll tell you, this guy has been a hell of a coach. And so I would go with Taylor and Joe Burrow.
Guys, our good friend Keith Brugman, part of the terrific trio over at Denver Bronco Roundup with Jody and Dutchie saying hello. He's late to the show. He's got the sad face that he was late, but good to see you, Keith. Hope all's well up your way.
Hey, Keith.
Thanks for joining. I'm Carson.
Gene.
Yeah, I would agree with you guys. Go Burrow, Taylor. I think what Purdy and Shanahan, though, have done in the back end of the year has been crazy. The fact that Shanahan was able to make Purdy look like a superstar, literally walking on from Mr. Irrelevant to possible Super Bowl champion, that's incredible also.
And Kurt, I got a little Bronco Mania. I'm glad Keith's here because he had something on him and Jody's show. They had picked coaches last couple weeks ago who they want. Kurt, do this real quick in a minute or less, and then I got your real top 5 that you told me months ago that you wanted. So let's see how it changed. Give me your top coaches you would want as the Broncos, and then I got his real 5 guys.
What, realistic guys?
Your realistic guys you wanted 5 to 1, real quick. Like who would you want on the Broncos?
5 to 1 now.
We'll go 1 to 5. You can go 1 to 5.
All right, 1 to 5, and I'm still going to say Jim. I'm still going to say Jim Harbaugh. You know, until he signs that extension in Michigan, I think there's a chance that he could be swayed to the NFL. I'll say he's 1. I'm going to say Sean Payton 2. My new number 3, and I know I've been on here saying I do not want a new first-time head coach, but D'Amico Ryans, man. That guy's going to be that defense. What I watched on Sunday with that defense against Dallas, how fast they are, how pumped up he's on the sideline. I think he's going to be an outstanding coach. I'm going to move him up. I'll take Quinn 4 and 5. I'll say out of that group, Caldwell.
Man, does 2 weeks change, guys? Because 2 weeks ago, Kurt gave
but
me
I can't say Mike Shanahan. He's not a realistic. I'm going off of the list.
Hey, Kurt gave me this list 2 weeks ago. Carson, you might be able to help me with this first name because I know you're a fan. Glenn Quagmire is number 5 on his list. From the Family Guy show. I think you wanted him as your coach, Kurt.
I know Carson, who he is.
You know who he is. If you don't know, is he giggity you? Eric Cartman, Kurt, you picked for number 4 from South Park.
Eric Cartman in Colorado. I love South Park.
Little Colorado there. Homer Simpson, number 3, you said. Homer Simpson as the number 3 on the Broncos coach. Again, from the show Family Guy, Peter Griffin, number 2. And then you went bold on this one. You went off the cartoon character. You went real character for number 1. Al Bundy, number 1, you want as your head coach for the Broncos.
He scored 5 touchdowns in one game.
That's it. There's your top 5, Kurt. Wits and wages, real quick, Kurt. I know. Go ahead, Paul.
I have one quick, serious question for Kurt. I read a name on the list that they interviewed, Kurt, and this guy I have so much respect for. David Shaw. Apparently, the Broncos interviewed him.
He's picking up a lot of momentum there. Remember, there's a lot of Stanford Penner and Condoleezza Rice are Stanford people. So,
Right. I love.
Go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry.
No, I love that guy. He's been a great coach. I think he's well respected both in the NFL and in college football. And when I read that they interviewed him, I'm like, man, if they can't get, I don't know about Harbaugh or even Sean Payton, this guy, I think, would bring an adult to your locker room.
Yeah, you know what? And somebody made a point today, and they said if Harbaugh really was there, a lot of people still say that Harbaugh was and is still their number one candidate. And if you can't get Harbaugh, really, when he went to Stanford, David Shaw took it over and actually won even more over there. So they're like, is that like a Jim Harbaugh light with the whole David Shaw, Jim Harbaugh thing? So, and he's got fans in the front office. That's the thing. He's got that Stanford connection to those two people. So that is going to help. And, listen, I wouldn't be totally against it. I mean, I wouldn't, but, listen, if I can get, I still like Harbaugh. I would really try to still go get Harbaugh. He's in trouble over there at Michigan. They got that investigation and all that stuff, and he still hasn't signed his deal. Michigan doesn't want to pay him what they're paying the other high coach. I would still try to go get Harbaugh. Would be my number one thing.
All right, we're late already. I don't know how you want to do wits and wagers. Maybe just pick who we like, and that's it. I mean, it's already 5 after 9. We're going overtime.
Yeah, I said we just do it quick, Kenny. Let's do it quick.
All right, you got the lines? You got the lines?
I'll get the lines.
Eagles 49ers are 2.5. I'll start with Carson.
I'm rooting for the 49ers because I got a Super Bowl future bet on them. Eagles, though, they look legit. I'm going to go with Ryan's team realistically. I'm rooting for the 49ers, but I think the Eagles are going to win the game.
I'm going to take the 49ers plus the 2.5. I'll take it for 2.5 for the show. I'm going to bump it up to 3 would be my 3 to 3. I'll bump it up to 3.5 would be my play. But I'm going to take that 2.5 for the show. Paul.
After seeing how the Eagles played last week, they almost look invincible. But so do the 49ers. I'll take the 2.5 and the 49ers.
Kurt.
Listen, I'm never going to bet against Kyle Shanahan. That is my boy. It's my favorite head coach. It was the biggest mistake out. People say Elway made a mistake with Paxton Lynch. That was the biggest mistake, taking Vance Joseph over Kyle Shanahan. But I'm telling you, I just not in that building, man. Not in that building on Sunday afternoon. That place is going to be electric. And Brock Purdy has never seen what he's going to see Sunday afternoon in that building with those fans, with a championship on the line. I think it's going to be a great game, but I'm going to take Ryan's Eagles at home.
Joey.
Oh, hold on, Joe. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, first things first. You ever see Shaw's offense for Stanford? He's got 1972 run, throw a pass underneath the chains and punt. That'll be a dumpster fire if he's a head coach of your organization. I'll tell you right now. And another thing, here's what the 49ers got to do: take the opening kick, take 5-6 minutes off the clock, kick a field goal, quiet the crowd down. If you let this crowd get involved as the 12th minute game, you're gonna have problems. And you know what? This kid never seen this yet. But you know what? How about the quarterback for the Eagles? He's a baby too. He's not. He hasn't seen anything yet. He ran into the Giants last week. Stop looking at what you seen last week. That's how you get in trouble gambling. Give me the 49ers plus the 2.5. The 49ers on the money line. I got futures on them too.
And Ryan, you're up.
Yeah, no, I got to give intense respect to the 49ers defense, perhaps best one that I've seen in a few years. Like you guys said, D'Amico Ryans, I think, is right in line for a good head coaching job this offseason. He's doing right now. But, they have playmakers everywhere up and down the field on defense and on offense. If there's a team that has a more complete roster than the Eagles, it may be the 49ers. I would take the 49ers 2.5 against the spread, but the game's not won by the spread or lost by the spread. we want Philly, money line Eagles.
All right, Kurt, what's the line on the Bills? Bengals, Chiefs.
I believe the Bengals are now favorite by, I want to say it was 1.5. One. Bengals are now a 1-point favorite.
For the show, I'm going to take the Bengals rapid fire because it's almost 10 after already. Kurt, you take over the order.
I will not take this as an outright win. I will take the Bengals plus points. I'll probably do something like the Eagles money line and take like 8 points because I'm this is the one thing I'm fearful of, guys. Everybody and their mother last week said the Giants are going to go into Philly and win. And what happened? Philly destroyed them. Everybody this week, Cincinnati. I'm not taking an outright win against Mahomes in that building. I'm just not doing it. I think the Bengals can win, should win. They're the better team, but I am going to take some kind of points and the Bengals to protect myself. Carson.
Yeah, like you just said, Kurt, I love Joe Burrow, and I think he's going to be a future MVP. Problem is, it scares me, is the Bengals just went to the Super Bowl last year, and with what the stats and the history says, it is so hard to go to back-to-back Super Bowls. For that reason alone, I'm going the Chiefs. I think the Bengals ride ends, and like you said, Kurt, it's Mahomes for the chance to go to the Super Bowl at Arrowhead. That's pretty tough to bet against. Give me the Chiefs.
Paul.
Yeah, Mahomes said he's playing Sunday. Everyone is going to look at this game and say, oh, there's no way that they're going to win, even though they're playing home. But I think it's hard to bet against Mahomes, and I'm gonna take the Chiefs. I am.
Clams.
I got the Bengals plus 1.5 and the 49ers plus 2.5 in the parlay. The Bengals went up to 2.5 yesterday. A big group came in about 5 o'clock Eastern time. They put 220,000 on the Chiefs plus 2.5. The line pick them. There's ones and pick them. He's walking around. He's not in a boot, and he was throwing the ball.
We lost Mr. Clams. Scoops.
Practicing, so
Scoops, go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. I wasn't sure if he was still speaking or not. That being said, this game, the line's been all over the place. I'm looking at it right now of a graph of how up and down the line's been. It kind of looks a little bit like what I think my ECG would look like if I were hooked up to it on the game on Sunday. But I'm not betting against Andy Reid. I'm not betting against Pat Mahomes. I think that there's a little bit less on the defense for Cincinnati than I would like. I think that Andy Reid, I think, is going to come, and Mahomes are going to come out of this game with a win. I think he's going to face the team that he helped take to the Super Bowl 19 years ago.
All right, Ken, you want to do real quick? We'll do final thoughts.
Yeah, let's get final thoughts in.
All right, go ahead. You can start. Actually, you'll go last, Mr. Kirkpatrick. I'll start.
Go first tonight. Let somebody else go last. No, good show. Sorry I was late, guys. Enjoy the games this weekend. Remember, no wits and wagers until March Madness. We're taking a couple weeks off. We'll see everybody next week. I hope everybody has a good weekend and enjoys the games on Sunday. Thank you.
I'll go next. Great show, boys. Giant fans, it's all in fun. You guys did have a pretty good year. Still not paying Daniel Jones. And I cannot wait for this news. We're talking about football coaches, but this is weird that nobody has hired a head football coach. I mean, I don't remember the last time it's happened where, you're going to be into the Super Bowl week and nobody's hired anybody. So everybody's at a slow pace, but I cannot wait to see who this ownership goes with. Carson.
Yeah, great show as always, boys. Ryan, good luck to your Eagles. And
Thank you, buddy.
Look forward to the games this weekend. And make sure you guys enjoy the games. Gamble responsibly first and foremost. And enjoy the games.
Clams.
Yeah, it's not about the team, about the number. I took the Bengals plus 1.5. I'm looking to take the Chiefs plus 1.5. A little something going on. It's all about the numbers. This is a numbers game. If you could get the 49ers plus 3, do it. If you could lay 1 with the Eagles or money line, then do it. If that's who you like. It's all about the number, and don't bet too much. To me, football season's over. This is just, you got no choice to bet these games. If you bet every day, if you're a gambler, If you don't like the game, you got to pass on it. Let's go. Good luck, everybody. Let's go. 49ers and Chiefs.
Scoop, did I go to you, Scoop?
No.
Okay, Scoop, you're up.
Okay, so obviously great show as always. The Giants, I think, are going to be, that rivalry is going to be reheating over the next couple of years, and I'm very much looking forward to that. NFC East football is better when, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Giants, well, not the Cowboys, but you know what I'm saying. It's better when the rivalry games mean something. And I'm looking forward to the next few years of that. But for right now, I'm very much looking forward to hopefully watching the Eagles this week against San Francisco advance to their second Super Bowl in my lifetime. If you had asked me 10 years ago, do I think that I would see 2 Yankees World Series or 2 Eagles Super Bowls beforehand, and you had told me it was going to be 2 Eagles Super Bowls, I would have thought you were insane. So fly, Eagles, fly. And bold prediction, Sean Payton goes back to Fox, does not take a coaching job this offseason.
All right, just a little not breaking news, but Ryan, you might be interested in this. 49ers today said Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey both did not practice today, but Shanahan said that he expects them both to play on Sunday. And Mr. Rosen, finish us off.
Great hanging with you guys this evening. Always a pleasure. Brian, good luck Sunday. Hopefully you guys will pull one out. And great job, everyone. Thanks.
All right, boys. Have a good one.